Welcome into episode 6 of JD's Empire Sports Talk. I'm John Downey here with my brother Ryan Downey. Thanks for coming on, Ryan. But first, before that, we'll let everyone know that you're going to be our Jets expert for the offseason, which is going to be a big offseason at this point because they don't have a head coach, of course, and a GM. We're not sure what Woody Johnson's going to do because he's been all over, too much into the imprints of the team, and it's just not working out. But that's something we can get to down the road. For today, we'll start with the recap of yesterday's game. Then we'll do the quarterback question. What are they going to do? And then we'll preview the matchup, which isn't a big game for the Jets. It is in terms of draft position, but for the Dolphins, huge game for them. But first, let's start with yesterday. What was that? They lost 40-14. It was 40-0 in the fourth quarter until they got 2 garbage time touchdowns that don't even count. Really, it was just an embarrassing game.
I don't know what that was. That's something they haven't showed that since the Steelers game, just the second half. But they played awful throughout the whole game. Offense couldn't get into their end zone. Yeah. They were moving the ball, just couldn't score. Mm-hmm. Defense was terrible from the first play of the game, and coaching again.
Yeah. So we'll start with the offense first, and then we'll get into the defense, and then we'll get into the coaching because they're just not good. It's bad. First with the offense, we saw. This is probably the 4th game in a row now. They're moving the ball well. They moved the ball pretty well yesterday, honestly, in the first half. They did. But it was the Rodgers interception got batted at the line, picked off when he tried to do that quick screen to Devontae. Everyone knows they're doing that in the red zone. It's got to stop, right? Come on.
Trying to force him the ball to get that 500 touchdown.
Yeah, that's something we've seen the last few weeks as he's getting closer. He really wants. They're making it known to the public too. They Devontae saying he has that hip injury going on. He's like, I probably wouldn't be playing if it didn't mean something for Aaron trying to get his 500th touchdown. It's got to stop. They're 2 great talents. Rodgers hasn't worked out for the Jets. 4 wins not working out. Devontae's come over. He's played very well for the Jets. Hopefully they can try to find a way, right, to keep him around. But you can't be forcing it. Like you were saying, you can't force it. You open up the offense for everyone to have success.
Yeah, you have all these weapons. Garrett should be getting the ball. Brees should be getting the ball. Conklin in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
You've seen it with Tyrod. He was getting open. He kept throwing it to him. You can't force it to this one guy when you have everyone else that's good playmakers.
Yeah, we're not trying to talk bad on those 2 guys because they're both going to be Hall of Famers. But it's just in the offense. Even in Green Bay, they didn't do that. They didn't have really good weapons besides Devontae, but they made it work. Something that we haven't seen, I don't know if it's the play calling or just Rodgers just being tunnel vision of Devontae because he doesn't trust the other guys. But when you have someone, like you said, like Brees, you have Garrett Wilson, you have Malachi Corley, who just doesn't sniff the field. I don't know what that's all about. And then he got hurt his elbow. When did that happen? Because he wasn't on the field yesterday, right? And Conklin, he's an average tight end. He gets the job done for the most part. It's not like he has no weapons here. And he has a good offensive line for the most part, starting-wise. We saw the depth yesterday once they came in, floodgates opened.
Yeah, the depth on the offensive line is not good. Max Mitchell, you drafted him. He's not good. Carter Warren, you thought because he played a lot of snaps in college, he was going to be good.
Yeah.
He hasn't worked out.
They're just not developing, right? We see. Joe Tippmann, great talent, didn't need much developing.
He was a high draft pick. He's supposed to be a good center.
Right, he was ready to go. Olu, another one, high draft pick from Penn State. Tippmann was from Wisconsin. They're great with O-linemen over there. Olu, it's a Penn State guy. He's going to be good. They run the ball all the time. They're ready for that. AVT, Elijah Vera Tucker, USC. So those are 3 guys from big-name schools. They didn't really need much developing. But when you look at the depth that they have, those guys aren't from big-time schools. They haven't developed from their first year to now. They were counting on guys being good, backups. They're just not getting it done.
That starts with the coaching. You're not developing everyone on the team. You're developing your first round draft pick, second round draft pick, and you're missing on the 4th and 5th round draft picks. This is why they constantly miss the playoffs every single season.
Right, because you're not going to be able to go in and count on 5 guys getting it done the entire year. It's never going to work like that. Even you see that. I know one of the playoff teams, they had probably, I think, right, it was the same 5 offensive linemen for almost every game. That's rare. That's very rare for that to happen. And like you said, the coaching, that was the next thing I wanted to get to. The coaching on every single coach, I don't know. I think they're all above average. No, below average. I don't even know why I would even consider those guys even near average at this point. Way below average. First, You can, if you want to rip into them, go ahead because you're allowed to. You can start with whoever you want. Let it go.
I'm gonna
Let's
start
see.
with Keith Carter. He's been here. This is his second year. He hasn't done anything to. You have all these talent on the offensive line, and it's just not getting the job done.
Mm-hmm.
They're one of the worst running games in the league when you have one of the best should be one of the best running backs.
Yeah.
In the league. And then Jeff Ulbrich. I know he didn't start the season as the head coach, but he's just getting worse every single week, and I don't think he's gonna get a job ever again to be a head coach. Maybe as a linebackers coach.
He's gonna have to work his way back up, right?
Defensive coordinator, maybe. That's it.
Yeah, and obviously, I don't know. I feel one of the, not a bright spot, but he's been okay. He's been steady. Todd Downing, he's been okay as an OC. I mean, I feel like when you can tell, I feel when his plays are called, and when Rodgers switches out of plays, I feel like they have a lot more success with him calling plays. I mean, he's not someone that's like a stranger to this. He was with the Titans. He understands the mindset. So I feel he should have been the OC probably all along. I think they could have had more success. And I feel if Rodgers just put his ego to the side and let the guy call the plays and have success, they would be fine. And like you said with Ulbrich, definitely wasn't ready for this, not at all. And I feel that Woody Johnson, of course, owner of the Jets, who we're not too happy with, he thought that making the move, firing Saleh, bringing in Ulbrich would be better because he said that he played. Just because you played the game doesn't mean you can be a good coach. We've seen that plenty of times. The good players in the league can't make good coaches, and they admit that. But we see the guys that we see, Minnesota, right? KOC. Wasn't the best player. He knows how to coach. There's plenty of other guys that we can think of that are out there. Weren't terrific players, but they know how to coach. So Woody Johnson, being a foolish guy like he is, right, thinks that Ulbrich can be a good coach. First of all, he was never a head coach, and now you're throwing a guy that never coached a game in his life, like as head coach, into the middle. I mean, that first game, that was a big game that he coached.
It was, right? It was for the division. We win that. We're in first place.
Yeah, 2-3 at the time. Bills were 3-2. You win that game, you're both 3-3. Going to Pittsburgh, you never know what can happen after that. Then the wheels just fell off after that, like you said, and just continued to get worse. And I know number 3, that key we wanted to hit was defense. I want to put this question out there for you. I don't know if I'm going to sound like an idiot saying it, but like in the beginning, like we saw Coach Saleh came in first year. Defense was not good, but those players we obviously know they weren't too good.
They weren't really his guys, and then he brought his own guys and really made an impact.
Right, and even the guys that were here, he coached them up to the levels they can get to. Like we saw Quincy Williams. Obviously, it wasn't Saleh's guy. They claimed him off waivers, threw him in at linebacker. That first year, he ran with it like his head was on fire. He didn't know what like to stay within the defense. Now look at him.
Now he's a Pro Bowl linebacker.
Yeah.
What I said to you a couple of weeks ago, if you think about it, every linebacker that played for 49ers, Robert Saleh, when he was there, they're all good. Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner,
yep.
C.J. Mosley on the Jets, Quincy Williams now, Sherwood this year, he looks pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, obviously, with C.J. Mosley, great guy. Before that, he was a terrific player. Unfortunate that he had so many injuries this year. I feel like the defense maybe could have been different. We've seen that. Like, C.J. Mosley, like, he was getting slower as his time with the Jets. I mean, he's been here for a while. I feel he got slower, but his leadership on the field is very important. Sherwood, like you just said, developed by Saleh. He was a safety moving to linebacker. He's flying all over the field. The leadership might not be there yet. Like, I mean, he's trying to push his like ways onto the defense. But when you're a young guy in the league, some of those veterans are just going to completely ignore you. I mean, right? Am I right? Yeah. That's something that can change, I think. But going into next year, like I don't know with this defense. Like they got to improve a lot, I think. Right? I mean, they have to at this point.
You have no safeties that should be on an NFL roster anymore at this point. Ashton Davis.
We got to laugh about it, right?
Ashton Davis. What? Come on. What is he?
Good guy to keep around. He's a good locker room guy.
He's not anything that's going to put you into the Super Bowl, into the playoffs.
No, you're right.
Deep into the playoffs.
The only way you keep him around is if he's like the 5th safety, just special teams, because he's very good on special teams. Can't be on the field for the defense. But that being said, we'll get into it. I mean, I don't know. We're torn. We're even torn in our house about this, right? The Aaron Rodgers question. Beginning of the year, first 3 weeks, team started out 2-1. I mean, the 2 wins were against the Titans and the Patriots. We saw what happened to them for the rest of the season, but Rodgers looked like his old Green Bay self. Then, I feel you can break it down into segments this season. Week 4 against Denver. You were at that game. I was up at school. The weather was terrible. Guys were slipping and sliding all over that turf. Denver, we didn't know they were going to be this good, but they were. They showed it. Their defense, most sacks in the league this year, got to Rodgers and hit him a lot that day. Then he started developing the hamstring injury and the knee injury. Then the next week, go to London, play Minnesota, got beat up in that game as well. Another terrific defense. I mean, I can still picture that in my head. Him screaming when his leg got bent back. I thought he was done.
And then he went into the tent and had to run back out there because he was playing for himself.
Yeah.
He was playing for the season.
Yeah, right. I mean, I thought at that point, if he was injured like they said he was, you're 2-3 at that point. Sit him out. Sit him out for a few weeks, right? Especially the injuries. They said he had a terrible hamstring injury. You can't move around a quarterback like that, and you're already over 40 years old. It's going to be tough. Sit him for a few weeks, maybe. You never know with Tyrod. I mean, we'll get into him as well. He can give him a spark. I'm sure the locker room loves Tyrod, so I'm sure those guys will play another level ahead for him.
Yeah, I think Tyrod could be the quarterback next year. He's shown that he can win in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he has, right? He's been one of those guys, not the most talented. He's been with good quarterbacks in his career. Baltimore, he was with. Buffalo, he started games, made the playoffs. Doesn't have the best arm, but he can move around. We saw it yesterday. He threw the touchdown to Garrett Wilson, then he threw another one to Conklin. I mean, we know. They were getting blown out. But the offense moved. He played within the offense of the system that they have. It may not be a good system or a great system, but he played within it. I mean, I don't know. I feel like next year, I don't think you can bring, my opinion, I don't think you bring Rodgers back. I feel it's over. You can't do it. It's just the way it's going, it's not good.
Yeah, he's trying to play for himself, not playing for the team, even though they're out of the playoffs. He's forcing it to certain guys, Devontae, Lazard, who should never step foot on an NFL field ever again.
Mm-hmm.
He has 50 targets. He's dropped 8 passes. That's not good.
Yeah, we don't even bother ripping him anymore. He's so terrible. But I feel like I was saying, you can't have Rodgers here. You can agree with me now, but maybe you did it a few weeks ago.
Yeah, because when he was playing good, everybody wanted him back. Now he's back playing the way he was during his injury, and I don't think it's going to work out next year.
And not even that too. Like his play, whatever. You can't think about that. Think about the money they're gonna have if they keep him play next year. That dead cap for the 2 years after that is not going to be pretty for this team, who has to pay guys like Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall, Jermaine Johnson, Elijah Vera Tucker, eventually Joe Tippmann, Olu, Will McDonald. There's guys out there. There's probably guys I'm forgetting as well right now that they're gonna have to pay all these guys. They can't afford to have all that dead money on the books. You can't do it. And then like someone like Tyrod, already under contract for next year, what, 8 to 10 million range.
Yeah.
Regardless, he'll be on the roster anyway. He'll be either a backup or a starter. He'll be on the team. He'll be on the team. Definitely on the team. Jordan Travis, he'll be on the team as well. The rookie from Florida State who they drafted in the later rounds, whose knee was completely torn up last year. I mean, that's a guy, he can be intriguing as well. What do you think of Jordan Travis?
He looked good at Florida State before the injury, but that goes to another thing. You used a mid to late round draft pick when you're trying to win a Super Bowl on a quarterback that has no impact on the season.
Right.
That could be wasting a draft pick if he doesn't turn out to be his old self in the future.
Right. You could have went out there, maybe got Aaron another weapon. I mean, it probably wouldn't have made a difference the way the season went, but you never know. Take that draft pick, try to get someone that can help the team right now when you're a win now team. I also understand it from the other side. They probably were banking on the fact that Rodgers would be great this year, play next year. Travis has that red shirt year really, as he works back from the injury, gets in the building, learns the playbook. Then next year he's active during the games, doesn't play obviously, but learns again. Then that third year of Jordan Travis, maybe he could be the starter, compete. Didn't work out like that, unfortunately. I mean, and then we'll get into this obviously next week and the weeks after that. So we know they'll have Tyrod around. Travis will be around. Maybe drafting a quarterback. We never I don't know. I don't think they can bring in another veteran guy. I don't think that's the way they can go, right? I don't think that'll work.
I don't think you can bring in like a real veteran. You can bring in the guy that's coming off his rookie contract, or that's been in the league for a couple of years, who's looking for a second chance.
Yeah,
someone like that.
Yeah, I mean we've seen that with second chance guys. Baker right now, Sam Darnold lighting it up. But someone that I know you've been talking about him, a guy coming off the rookie contract, Justin Fields maybe.
Justin Fields, he won games in Pittsburgh this year. He was 4-2. They're not the best, most talented team. But
No.
they do get the job done every single year.
Right.
And when he played before Russ got the job,
Right.
they were winning games. They were scoring points.
Yeah, he can be an intriguing guy. I think a very athletic quarterback, can run when you need him to. In this day and age in the NFL, you need guys that run, that have to scramble and run, or design runs as well. He can do that for you. And like you said, in Pittsburgh, he really only had the one true number one receiver. And is George Pickens a true number one? He gets a ton of targets as a number one because there's no one else there. But I don't. If you put him on the Jets, he's wide receiver 3, right?
Yeah, Garrett Wilson. If Justin Fields would come in, instantly have a top 10 receiver.
Yeah.
Should be a top 5 running back.
Right.
And a couple of receivers around Garrett.
Yeah, I mean, then we got to think of it too. Like, I don't know. I feel like you should try to make as much of an effort as you can to keep Devontae around. I don't think he would want to be here really if Rodgers isn't here, but I'd still talk to him and be like, "We want to keep you here. You can still play at a great level."
He's showing it this year.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the speed,
No.
but he's more physical than the defensive
Yeah.
back, and he can blow right past you with his moves.
Exactly. I mean, that's something you got to try to keep him around as well. I think the rest of the receiver room you can get better with, but it's guys like, I don't know, anybody that you bring in as a quarterback, I feel as long as they're developed and coached properly, they can put up tons of points next year. Like, I don't think this is a team that needs a legit, like, tear it down rebuild. I don't think it's that bad. I just think that the coaching is a big issue. Obviously, quarterback. The defense's attitude, I don't think, isn't it? Like, they have the talent. I think they just need to shore up some positions.
Mm-hmm.
The attitude is not there from the guys that are, like, playing right now, the talented guys, which, I mean, is understandable. Like, you obviously don't want to quit, but when you're losing that much, it's not going to be there. So, I mean, I think it's one of those things. Figure all that out, and this could be a team. They blew 6 fourth quarter leads. Like, it's not a team that got crushed a lot. They got crushed, maybe 3-4 games this year. It happens to everyone. The Vikings, lost 2 games the whole season, they got crushed. I mean, it happens. Like, that's something that it's just part of the league. But like you said, we mentioned it numerous times. Coaching. Blowing 6 fourth quarter leads, not knowing time management. I know today we watched Bill Belichick on the McAfee show. What he does, he'll do it now at UNC, but what he did with the Patriots. After 2 minutes, 2-minute drill, you have those 3. Hopefully, you have those 3 timeouts. You don't want to. Another thing, delay of games left and right, having to call timeouts because the offense isn't set up.
That's something that never happened in Green Bay. And then Rodgers comes here. It's either the play call's not coming in late, he can't read the defense as fast, or the guys around him don't know the plays.
Yeah, it's something, and maybe it's a combination of all of them. I mean, he did have 2 good coaches in Green Bay, so maybe he wasn't as smart as people think he is, and he loves to put it out there how smart he is, but doing things like that doesn't make you look smart. Like Bill Belichick was saying, he wants to have those 3 timeouts with under 2 minutes left. You use one from 2 to 1 minute left in the half, then the one from 1 minute to 30 seconds, and you want to have one left with that 30 seconds left to have a shot. I mean, of course, Ulbricht's not the only guy that screws up with the timeouts. We've seen it across the league this year. A lot of coaches just lost, but it's something they got to figure out. I mean, hopefully they turn it around. Like a team like Miami. Look, this could be their 5th year in a row, almost, right? Of winning seasons. That's all we'll ask for. We just want winning seasons.
Just give winning seasons. All you got to do is get 9 wins and you have a winning season.
Yeah, I mean,
we haven't even got 8.
We haven't got 8 in a while. I mean, last winning season was 2015. Like, that's not good. Like, it's stuff that needs to be cleaned up. And I was talking about Miami before. That's the matchup this week, Sunday. Not the 1 o'clock spot, unfortunately. So we got to sit through the misery for a few extra hours. But we'll be at the game. They got the Dolphins. I mean, this is the thing, though. The Jets sitting in the top 10 of the draft picks right now. You probably don't want them to win, but you don't want to see Miami celebrating on your field getting into the playoffs. They need they need Kansas City to come through for them. Probably won't. But Kansas City beats Denver. Miami beats us. They're in the playoffs. You don't want that, right? As a competitive guy, you don't want that.
You don't want a team. You never want a team celebrating on your field, especially a division team that you should have been better than, and you know you can beat them.
Yeah, you can't. You can't have that on your field. Especially you lost to them once already in a game you should have won. We don't want to talk about that in Miami. That was a terrible, terrible game. In the terms of the way they lost, it was a close game, but they lost. Yeah, but we don't want that. You can't have Tua, even if I don't know if he's playing or not. You don't want to have Mike McDaniel, all those guys celebrating on your field. I'm sorry. Listen, as much as I want him to have the best pick possible, competitive nature comes in, especially as athletes. You don't want that. All right. So, of course, this is the last game of the regular season. No playoffs for the Jets. Maybe, I don't know. Give me a bold prediction on offense, a bold prediction on defense. For the Jets, of course.
I think you want to win the game, obviously.
Yeah, that's not a bold prediction. I get in there.
But the way I think the game is going to go, I think Rodgers does not play well. He gets benched for Tyrod going into the second half.
Okay.
Because of the poor red zone play that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And for defense, I think they hold them to like
field
goal, touchdown, another field goal, something like that.
Yeah, all right.
But still lose the game because of how poorly Rodgers plays.
So it'll be like a low scoring 13 to maybe 10 game. They lose like that. I mean, this is something I've been thinking of too. Supposedly, Rodgers and Woody Johnson's relationship's not too great. Wouldn't be surprised if Woody Johnson tells the coaching staff Rodgers is one touchdown away from 500. He's not playing this week. I wouldn't be shocked by that. And then they cut him whenever the money situation works out. I wouldn't be shocked. How about you?
I wouldn't be shocked either. The way this season has gone, Rodgers is doing everything for himself, and then maybe Woody says, "You're not coming back next year."
Mm-hmm.
He knows that already.
Yeah.
And then he says, "This is not going to be for you. This game. This is going to be see what we have for the future."
Exactly. I mean, it's also one of those things too. 7 guys in the history of the NFL have 500 touchdowns. He would love to be number 8. And you know he wants to get to number 7 because Brett Favre, who's someone he's had competition with, the way that his career started, would only be right now they're 9 away. He's 9 away from him. So if he gets to 500 and he can work his way up, you never know. So I feel that that's something in Rodgers' head. Like he would be hurt by it. I think if he got benched this week, I wouldn't be shocked. Then again, Olbrich said today that guy just makes up riddles at this point. But he did say Rodgers will start. So maybe Rodgers gets out there, throws his 500s, and they get him off like a curtain call. Let Tyrod get in there, see what he can do in a meaningful game. Not for the Jets, but in a meaningful game like for the Dolphins, obviously. See what he can do with these offensive guys because that could be something they go, and we talked about before, look into next year. But Ryan, thanks for coming on, man. Next week we'll run it back. We'll do a recap of the Jets-Dolphins game. Hopefully, maybe we'll have some head coach GM news with you guys. I'm sure they won't like decide it yet, but they'll bring in some more guys to interview. I'm sure they'll do a wide cast of interviews for every single guy. Seeing what pairings will go together. We'll see what all that. What happens with all that. But thanks for watching, and that was episode 6 for you guys. Ryan, I'm John. Thanks for watching.